Welcome to Brooklyn!
Over the last 2 decades, Brooklyn's waterfront has been completely transformed. From block after block of empty factories, warehouses, and shipping terminals into one of the best urban areas in the world. So I joined longtime resident Scott, one of New York's best guides, for a tour of how the city got it done.
This is City Hall Park. On your right, you'll see City Hall. It is the longest continuously serving city hall in America. Opened in 1814. New York is divided into 5 boroughs: Brooklyn, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens, and the Bronx. Prior to 1898, they were individual cities and towns. Over here, Brooklyn Bridge. This is the very first bridge to cross over into Manhattan. Prior to the building of this bridge, the only way to get onto Manhattan was by boat. Every day, 100,000 cars, 30,000 pedestrians, and 6,000 cyclists cross the Brooklyn Bridge. So we're gonna make it 6,005. Let's go. Welcome to Brooklyn, biggest and the best of the 5 boroughs, okay? We have 2.7 million people living in Brooklyn. It's about a third more than Manhattan. We also have 80 square miles of land. That is about 4 times the size of Manhattan. Brooklyn also quite on a roll these days. In the last 20 years, 50% of the new jobs created in the city of New York were created here in Brooklyn. We're on in between downtown Brooklyn over here and Brooklyn Heights over here. Hotel St. George at one point was the largest hotel in New York City with 2,600 rooms. It's no longer a hotel, it's a permanent apartments. Francis Ford Coppola used it for scenes in The Godfather. The key instigating scene where Luca Brava gets strangled was done in the bar here. Brooklyn Heights was the very first historically landmark district in the city in 1965. What that basically means is you can't knock anything over to build new things. Yes. Everybody comments how quiet it is when they get over here. This is one of the more desirable and expensive neighborhoods to live in New York City. And I mean the entire city. It's in the top 10 of the most expensive. It's very quiet here. There's obviously not much traffic. You don't see cars. You don't see a lot of people. It's a little more abandoned right now because it's the Sunday of Memorial Day. So I guess everybody's kind of made their plans. Manhattan's upper class then would purchase these homes over here and continue to commute to Manhattan by ferry every day, even in the 19th century. So for that reason, Brooklyn Heights sometimes gets called America's first suburb. Over here, we have one that predates that development. That was built in 1800. You do know it's old because it's wood, and wood houses were banned in New York City in 1830 due to fire hazard concerns. This recently sold for $4.5 million. That is a fixer-upper price. I have seen them actually pull out several dumpsters full of stuff, including their walls, fixtures, floorboards, and start from scratch. Over here, 9.9 will value this one on the corner. That has 5 floors of living space, a rooftop deck, a parking space in the back, which is a nice amenity in New York City. Brooklyn Heights has become home to many celebrities. We're about to see one of the celebrity houses. It's a famous house. We call it the Moonstruck House because Cher lived in it in the movie Moonstruck. You guys may be too young, and you may be too Brazilian, but recently sold for $13 million, and it was purchased by Amy Schumer. Actually, she knows me. I've seen her like 5 times. I can say hi to her. She hasn't invited me over for dinner yet, but because I am a neighbor, I do live around here. I'm available for babysitting if you're seeing this, Amy.
You live in a great neighborhood, Scott.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I have a rent-stabilized apartment that I can afford. So I'm lucky to have found one in 32 years ago in this neighborhood. I didn't even appreciate it that much then because I wanted to be in a cooler neighborhood. Yeah. And but you know, now that I'm old and not going out every day, this is really nice. Truman Capote wrote the book In Cold Blood and Breakfast at Tiffany's while he lived here. That's this house. We're going to walk them to the edge. We're at the Brooklyn Heights Promenade. So from here you can see a lot of the landmarks of New York City. Empire State Building over there. You just get a peek of the Chrysler Building, Brooklyn Bridge. We call that the Jenga Building. I think you know why. That is One World Trade Center over there. The green roof is 40 Wall Street, so that's the Wall Street in the financial district. Staten Island Ferry over there in the orange, that's a free ride around the harbor if you want to hop on it. Splayed out below us is the Brooklyn Bridge Park. We're going to go into that next. This is one of the newer parks added to the city. It's 85 acres and about a mile and a half along the waterfront. It incorporates 6 former shipping piers in their former industrial spaces. It was built for an American industrialist named Herman Behr. You can still buy Behr paint in American hardware stores. He sold it fairly early and went out to the Gold Coast of Long Island, as many people did in the early 19th century. It later became a hotel, which then transformed into a house of ill repute, which was then later purchased by the Catholic Church and made into a monastery. So,
of course.
Today there's apartments with a fairly colorful history. I call it the House of the Dragons because there's dragons carved into the porch. That's the Hotel Bossert across the street over there. It's a huge old hotel that now only 7 people live in because it's been tossed around in bankruptcy for a long time. This is Montague Street, the main commercial district of the neighborhood. That Häagen-Dazs store, the very first retail Häagen-Dazs store in the world. It sounds like it's Swedish or Scandinavian, but it was actually invented in the Bronx. There's a Catholic church over here. They have some big, beautiful brass doors. They were salvaged from a French cruise ship that sunk in the Hudson River. It's the Normandy that's sunk in the Hudson River, and they eventually salvaged what was there. As we turn onto Gerolman Street, keep your eyes peeled. There's a townhouse. It looks like a regular brownstone. Has blacked out windows. It's actually a substation for the subway that goes underneath it. Over there with the American flag and the red door is an old 19th century firehouse, still in use. They still have a engine in there. Lost some people on 9/11, unfortunately. New York City once had 50 miles of cobblestone streets. We're down to 15. Community garden here. I present to you guys the Adam Yauch Playground, a local hero here. My generation, Gen X, appreciates that he fought for our right to party. He also denied us our sleep until Brooklyn. So this is Adam Yauch, Beastie Boy, named for him, alas, posthumously, because he grew up here in the neighborhood.
Shoot it, Damon! Shoot it! Yeah!
Earlier we walked over to the, it's called Little Park, the one that's up on the pillars.
The Little Island.
Little Island, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it is great.
I love that place. In the summer, they have $25 performances in that amphitheater.
Oh, nice.
And I went last year. It was a very good play, and it was lovely to sit out there outside and watch the sun go down over the Hudson while the show starts. It was beautiful. A lot of bird watchers love this place. Of course, we have soccer fields here and fish cleaning stations, so you see some people fishing. The good news is the water around New York City is cleaner than it's been in 100 years. You're actually seeing a lot more varieties and quantities of fish. The Department of Environmental Protection did actually say that it was clean enough to swim in, but I don't know that anybody will do that. They also do recommend you not eat too many fish out of it in a month. So I do wonder if these people who fish, like, what's your mercury level? Yeah, last year we actually had drought in the summer, which is the first real serious drought that I can recall New York City having. We went for like 3 months without rain.
What is the main reservoir or reservoirs that?
Hudson River is our main source of river, which is across the other side, but we don't get the water here. We get it from 35 miles north of the city. There are a number. Croton Reservoir, yeah. There's actually like dozens and dozens of them. There's lots of reservoirs upstate. They come down here by tunnels. Our water system is entirely driven by gravity. It's quite a feat. That's also why we have these water tanks on the roof, because the gravity won't work after 5 or 10 floors. So you have to pump it up to the roof and then let gravity bring it down.
So does each building generally have a pumping?
Yes.
Yep.
And you'll notice, if you go to the observation deck at the edge in Hudson Yards, you'll see that even those really modern glass towers have wooden water tanks on the roof.
Interesting.
Yeah. You just can't see them. They put they just
screens.
Oh, look, it's open. They just opened that. They've been rebuilding that playground for a while. I haven't seen it open.
I like how it looks like they use the old beams and stuff and maybe even pillars.
They actually did. It's repurposed wood from warehouses that were on this site prior to the creation of the park. They opened it in phases, so the first phase opened in 2010, but this pier, Pier 3, is one of the last piers that they opened. It opened in July 2018. So this is only 7 years old. This was a shipping pier like 10 years ago. More repurposed wood.
Yep. I love how wild it is in here. It's neat.
They practice something called ecological gardening, which is it's entirely organic. There's no pesticides or herbicides, and they kind of just plant a lot of stuff and let whatever survive.
Probably a lot of native and...
They don't. Yeah, it's all native,
Yeah.
and so they don't really fight nature in that sense. Like
Right.
if something's not doing well, they're like, okay, we'll let that die. We'll let something else grow there. So the horticulturists are really smart here. My nephew and I did the jet skiing. It was so much fun. I loved it so much. I can't wait to do it again.
Awesome.
See this older building here with the railing on the top floor up there and the black windows? The 11th and the 12th floor is the penthouse, the top 2 floors, and they sold recently for $16 million. And the buyer was Matt Damon. He also has a 7,000 square foot roof deck up there. He's never invited me over for barbecue though. A lot of celebrities have moved into that neighborhood. I see Peter Dinklage regularly too. You know, Tyrion Lannister of Game of Thrones. Also repurposed the granite of these steps here and the terrace. It was actually donated by the Department of Transportation when they were renovating the Roosevelt Island Bridge. They were incredibly thoughtful
Oh, yeah.
to work within this industrial backdrop rather than fight it. The park designer's name is Michael van Valkenburg, highly respected landscape architect. Won a lot of awards for this park. We see basketball courts, there's a roller skating rink, handball courts, pickleball courts.
Did they own the piers and all this land before, or did they buy it back?
Actually, most of this land that this park was on was owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. They donated the land for free for the purposes of creating a park. The city and the state kicked in about $250 million to build this park. But the park is actually self-supporting. They don't draw on the city or state parks department budgets for maintenance. The operating costs come from taxes paid by these condos right here and this hotel. These buildings are on land owned by the park, so all of their lease goes into the operating costs. I think the park is really well run and beautifully maintained. Dumbo again, down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass. Dumbo home to a lot of good food. There is Giuliana's Pizza right over here. No one's ever complained about me sending them there. It's the best pizza in New York. And I don't even get a kickback. I should, but I don't. Time Out New York Market a little ways over here in the Empire Stores. Also a great place. They have restaurants on the first floor, also some on the roof, and you can have a nice little rooftop experience up there. There's actually part of it that's public, and you can just go up there and enjoy it. Emily Warren Roebling Plaza here. That is named for the wife of the second engineer of the Brooklyn Bridge, a man named Washington Roebling. He was the son of the initial engineer. The initial engineer last died in the first month of the building. He got his foot crushed by a boat and he died of tetanus 17 days later. So his son took over the task, but he also became disabled about 4 years into his 14-year tenure. At that point, Emily Warren Roebling, his wife, stepped up and became essentially like the project manager. She would take over his correspondence. She would take meetings for him because she never did have a title or a salary. Just 5 years ago was the place that the city park trucks at. And now it's a beautiful plaza. We have ice skating here in the winter, 2 years in a row. This is about where that ship hit. It was just about right here, and it bumped in over here. I'm gonna let you guys walk back if you want to see the memorial. There's a big crowd there. We're now at Jane's Carousel, and this is 103 years old. It was purchased by a man named David Walentas. He actually was smart enough to buy up most of Dumbo when it was $1 a square foot. And so he made a lot of money off of the neighborhood. As a gift to the neighborhood, it's been good to him. He purchased this on auction. It was most recently in Youngstown, Ohio. His wife, whose name is Jane, oversaw a team of artists who carefully scraped through 100 years of carnival paint. And they restored it to its like new condition. It's really quite beautiful. It sits here in this glass box, which is, as you can see, opens up for a nice open air experience, but it does keep it safe from the elements, including Hurricane Sandy in 2012, so that's pretty remarkable. It's also only $3. You don't have to be a Scrooge, just let them ride it. Dumbo would have thrived between 1850 and 1950 as an industrial space. Many things that you know today were born here in Dumbo, including Twizzlers candy, Brillo soap pads, Squibb pharmaceutical, and even corrugated cardboard boxes. So Jeff Bezos owes a big thank you to the man named Robert Behr, who invented the corrugated cardboard box. And he built 9 of these old factories to produce all these cardboard boxes. He arrived very poor as a Scottish immigrant in 1838 and died a very wealthy man. The American dream personified. This all started about 1999. This neighborhood was pretty abandoned as an industrial space, so they rezoned it for commercial and residential, and that's when it became one of the hottest neighborhoods in New York City. And as you can see, it is extremely, extremely busy and popular. I can remember when this was kind of a ghost town down here. This is one of my favorite views in the entire city. I just love this panorama of both of the bridges at once. And it also shows so much of the Brooklyn Bridge Park. This is a former shipping pier that now hollowed it out and created a tidal pool. Very good for the environment. A lot of fiddler crabs and birds and whatnot love to live in a space like that. Here you can see the Williamsburg Bridge over there again. That was 20 years after the Brooklyn Bridge opened in 1903. So this is a vintage souvenir flea market that's here on Saturdays and Sundays. Continues on underneath the bridge over there. Also food vendors here and whatnot. This is the heart of Dumbo. This plaza, Archway Plaza, is brand new. They just opened it last year. There used to be a through street. So this is part of a trend here in New York City of closing down streets that may be unnecessary. As you can hear, there are still trains going over the Manhattan Bridge. So it's a little noisy down here sometimes. So if you look right here between the two supports, you can see Empire State Building. A modern update is the smoother crosswalks, which are handicap accessible, also stiletto accessible. And,
Carrier's hanging around here.
Yeah, Carrie Bradshaw, she wasn't going to be able to walk on this. Well, these buildings, this was actually a new technique that Robert Behr pioneered, which is a structural steel frame with poured concrete around it. So they're about 100 years old and looking good. Also allowed for much bigger windows than you will see in more standard brick across the street over here. So these brick buildings are homes today. Dumbo is the highest concentration of high-tech and startup in the city, part of what they call the Brooklyn Tech Triangle, which includes Brooklyn Navy Yard and downtown Brooklyn. 50% of the new jobs created in New York were created here in Brooklyn. The Navy Yard was abandoned in 1966 by the Navy, and they've started to repurpose it, and now it's fully leased and they're adding new buildings. It's pretty cool, and a lot of it is a smart repurposing of the existing infrastructure. Buildings like this, you could also see that in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and it's just very useful.